But Danny Simpson, I'm kind of glad we didn't go for it in the end. I wasn't, to be honest, it wouldn't have been the end of the world for me. It could have been the thing we need more hands on deck. However, I don't want to see this one that we're about to report on, and you might, some fans out there might.
I'm not.
Right. The Star reported early in the week that Ravel Morrison is training with us. Now, this most recent update comes from an interview with Darren Moore again, the Star again. Ravel is one that's come on the radar. It's something that's been looked at and nothing has been decided. We know about his talent. We know about his ability. We know all about that. He's come on the radar because he's out there on a free and wanting to get in somewhere and play some football. We don't doubt his ability, but we've just got to look at it and consider whether he's the right one for us. That can be all in this moment. I think Ravel, personally, and this is possibly quite a bold statement, but he is everything to do with that attitude over ability player, right? Because everybody always he always gets a deal. He is the typical, that youngster that was talked about, that people still think has got bags of potential because he was always talked about as a potential youngster. And people don't realise that I've put in big capital letters here. He's 28 years old and he's made 140 appearances over his entire career at 28.
Says a lot, really, doesn't it?
And they were for so many different clubs, right? The most appearances he's made is for Birmingham in the 12-13 season, and that was 30 appearances. There's only 2 other seasons in which he's made over 20 appearances. I dug into this because it was annoying me when I saw it linked. In the last 2 years, he's made 12 appearances at Sheffield United, Middlesbrough, and Ado Den Haag combined. 12 appearances combined across 3 clubs over the last 2 years. 12.
Yeah. He screams of one of those players who've got a lot of potential and can play.
How's he got potential at 28 now?
No, I meant ability-wise.
Ability, yeah, fair.
But
not saying you haven't got potential if you're a 28-year-old, but in football terms, let's be honest, you're getting ready for the slippers in the commentary.
Yeah, but at the same time, it is a very lengthy signing in terms of you look at Hutch, you look at Bannon. I know they were like 26, a lot younger, but we have in times gone down to the players who have been not got someone, then they come and done well. 28, yes, he's still... He's near the twilight of his career, and you can't.
Actually, really... I want to retract what I just said, because the reason I've said that for Ravel Morrison is, yes, that's probably true in Ravel Morrison's case, but it's actually the prime of your career. But I can't see it being the prime of his career when he's had 12 appearances in the last 2 years. That's what I mean. Sort of the 26 to 30 can be a real prime. It is the prime of your career. But for him, it's almost as if he's looking for another couple of paydays because he knows he's going to be done by like 31, and he's not. I don't know.
I can't remember which podcast it was on. He was on a podcast recently, and he spoke well, and but it screamed to me that kind of whole, I'm just looking, like they're looking for a payout kind of thing. And so there's Chelsea loanees who's had more appearances than he's had, and they go out on loan everywhere, kind of thing. He
Would
sounds
you have
like no. I don't know what he will bring to this team. I don't want it to upset the apple cart, because you bring him in. If we went down to League One, yes, definitely.
Would you want to do that, though?
Just because I think it will be a good thing. Championship, I won't want him. You can get a better player, and you might have to pay a bit.
I don't know on terms of ability, because from ability, people say he's got it. Like, look, Sheffield United promoted Premier League side.
Well, go
obviously.
on attitude then. You probably get a better player attitude who might not have the right ability, but they've got the attitude and they'll run through bricks.
You have just said he spoke well on that podcast, though. So is his attitude improving? Is it one of those things? I'm trying to look at it from all perspectives here, because I don't want to just slam a player on based off the previous history. I'm a big believer in player growth and things like that. But I just look at his last 2 years and I'm like, unless he is coming to Wednesday because he wants to prove a point and he can get there and he can actually do the right thing. The one thing I would be cautious with, if we're talking contracts here, is be really careful with the deal you give him.
And also, if some Wednesday fans are not going to like this, but if Chris Wilder can't get something out of him, and he's
I think even Wednesday fans respect what Wilder did.
But I know somehow some people are. But yeah, Wild is well known for getting players who haven't done well at clubs and get them to play well. And if Wild doesn't think it's there, kind of says it all for me.
I've got to look at the signs of people like Kieran Lee, who were the same. They were talked about having attitude issues. They came in and it was the right club and the right fit at the right time. And for Kieran Lee, it definitely was that with Wednesday. Lewis McGugan seemed it, but then we saw his attitude. Apparently, actually, it was interesting. He was on. I can't say that actually. But yeah, it's interesting to see what we're doing in terms of players on the freeze, because Ravel Morrison it does seem like one of those journeyman players. But it would be interesting to see what Darren Moore wants from his players, if he's talking all about having those attitudes, and then he brings in a player that is renowned for
attitude.
Yeah. But what do you think on Ravel Morrison? Would you want him at Wednesday? It's not really been hyped up and really talked about loads, because I think people are thinking, is it actually going to happen? But because he's still training with us, it could be a possibility. If you're going to do it, get him in over the international break. Give him a really basic deal until the end of the season, right?
Yeah.
Do not give it incentives, sure. If their incentives are in there, right? If it can get another year trigger, and that means he actually makes... Because what have we got? We've got 9 games left, right? He could get nearly his game tally that he's had in the last 2 years with Wednesday at the end of this season. And then if he plays in those, give him an extension, sure, fine. But... come and play 9 games. Can you do it, Ravel? We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm leaving it up to Darren Moore, because Darren Moore is giving me early signs that he knows what he's doing with this squad
and what he wants.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. Said that in synchronization. Potentially not when the podcast comes through, but on my end we did. Interesting.